Today on Monkey Life.
Good girl.
Oshine's big weigh-in.
Good girl. There we go. Sit down. You've put on weight.
Chimp Kiki gives Hananya a run for his money.
Hananya's all puffed up, charging around, and what do? You run up to the biggest guy in the room and you smack him.
And the elderly Stumpies enjoy their newfound freedom. This is Monkey World in Dorset. It's home to more than 240 monkeys and apes and is the largest sanctuary of its kind on the planet. Dr. Alison Cronin and her team rescue and rehabilitate primates from all over the world.
This is always, for me, the most stressful time. I want to see Kiki fit and healthy.
Today is a big day for overweight Oshine. Jeremy has decided to find out exactly how much weight she's lost since arriving at the park. She was rehomed a few months ago from South Africa. There, she lived in the lap of luxury with her owner, Brenda. Her weight ballooned because she was overfed, sometimes with inappropriate sugary food.
Time for Mama.
Oshine was 100 kilos when she arrived. She was immediately put on a strict health regime and encouraged to exercise. As a result, the weight has fallen off her. And she's already seeing the benefits, moving a lot more easily around the orangutan nursery and the outdoor enclosure.
From the beginning, when she first arrived here to today, I mean, radical changes. First up around her throat sac, all of that, like before it was almost like a collar of fat around her neck and over her shoulders. That's all gone. You can see the tops of her shoulders now. And definitely around her belly, because when she first came, that Buddha belly was just stretched taut and out in front of her. And you can see that the belly is actually saggy and a lot of wrinkly skin now.
Jeremy is hoping to entice Oshine onto the scales. But there's never any guarantee she'll cooperate.
The last time we weighed her, she was 79.7 kilos, so I think she's probably lost a bit more, but I mean, we were surprised how much she'd lost last time, so we'll see whether we're surprised or not this time. And we're ready to go now when you are.
On my way to...
Come on, gorgeous. Where are you going? Hello there. Are you right? Are you right? Good girl. Here we are. Come on. You know what this is, don't you? Good girl. Everybody's watching the weigh machine. Ready?
Yep.
Good girl. There we go. Sit down. Good girl. Have you got the weigh?
And we're at 80 kilos bang on.
80 kilos. Have you got that? You've put on weight. You're a good girl.
So, not quite Slimmer of the Month, but Alison is still happy with her progress.
You know, Oshine's only been here a few months now, and already she's lost 20 kilos. So, you know, we were hoping to do a very slow and steady weight loss program by feeding her just the normal diet that we feed her at the park and letting the weight fall off naturally. And that's exactly what's happened. We're at a little plateau right now, which just means we need to think about it and maybe a few less bananas and a little more vegetable matter and carry on so that she continues with this really nice gradual weight loss program, because everybody knows that's the best way to lose weight, is slow and gradual.
That is the last grape. Do you want it? Hey, hello? Yeah,
Jean has a really lovely, nice relationship with Jeremy and is quite clearly very content and happy, you know, to come strolling in, sit on the scales, and I'm really pleased for her. I think we've sort of ticked all of the boxes that Oshine needs, and she's settled in now and is, I believe, quite happy and content.
We're just having a moment here. We don't want to talk to you lot anymore.
Oshine was the baby and the princess throughout her lifetime in South Africa. And that, you know, makes you a very spoiled individual because there's no competition. Now that she's in here with all of the youngsters, they provide stimulus and keep her busy. So slowly but surely, I think we're breaking down those social barriers as well. And every day she's becoming, her orangutan vocabulary is becoming greater, and she's becoming less dependent upon human beings.
It's hoped eventually that Oshine will move away from the nursery and live in one of the adult groups of orangs.
Next step is check her over, make sure she's physically fit, that we don't foresee any heart disease or any issues or diabetic tendencies that we need to deal with. Lose a bit more weight, and then graduate her to an adult group where she can either meet Tuan or Gordon. And, you know, living with the youngsters in here is a very good start, because someday if she does have her own baby, she's going to have a little bit of experience with youngsters.
Hey, Mikado.
Another recent arrival who's due for a weigh-in is Mikado.
It's a good boy.
The golden-cheeked gibbon was rehomed from a zoo in France when his mother died. He's now happily settled with his foster mum, Alex.
You're going to sit in the scales for me? Hello. Hi, where are you? Oh, straight in. Sit. Good lad. He's a good boy. OK, how much does he weigh? Can you see?
Yep, 2.3 kilos.
You're a good boy. You're a good boy. He seems to be putting on a little bit of weight, which is good. Sometimes there may be a little bit of a loss. Once he started to go out, then of course he had so much more exercise. So he did sort of level out a little bit for a few weeks at the same weight, because he was just burning everything up. And of course we don't want a fat gibbon. You know, I don't think you really ever see a fat gibbon. Most gibbons are very long and lanky, aren't they?
The biggest difference in Mikado since Mike collected him from France is his colour change.
To start off with, he was really bright orange, and then gradually he started to change to the black, which the adult males are, and they will stay black all their lives. The first noticeable change was really sort of round about his ears, and then it was the feet and the hands that went, and now the arms are going, the back's going, and if I don't happen to see him for maybe 4 days, there's a noticeable difference in his colour change. It really is quite dramatic at the moment. He's certainly a very confident lad, a little bit cautious with anything new, but then that's pretty good. He hardly ever sits still, just a typical little gibbon.
Kiki arrived at the park just over a week ago.
Hey, missus!
She was rescued from Lebanon, where she'd lived on her own in a cage for many years. The team decided that she was going to join Hananya's group, and her first meeting with Patricia went very well. Since then, she's been introduced to several of the other females. But today, she gets to meet the boss.
Whenever we do these introductions, especially with adult chimpanzees, it's a dangerous situation, because chimpanzees are naturally volatile and very aggressive and dangerous animals. And being very strong, it means that any of these introductions could go totally wrong, and it could be a bloodbath.
Don't lock it, so we can open it quickly if we need to.
Jeremy and the other primate care staff members are on hand with fire extinguishers in case things get out of hand.
Opening the door between Hananya and a newcomer is always a really tense and frightening time, because Hananya's so full on, and you sort of just have to hope that you've done everything that you can for the individual, and that the friendships and alliances that they've established previously will hold true, and people will help her out if she gets into trouble.
Alison, we're going to open the slide now.
Okay, open the door.
Not realising how important Hananya is, Kiki confidently chases him. Having lived on her own for so long, she's unaware of chimpanzee politics.
It was really quite shocking, because Kiki's first response, door goes open, Hananya's all puffed up, charging around, and what do? You run up to the biggest guy in the room and you smack him.
The other females keep a watchful eye on Kiki, but don't interfere at this stage. Needing to assert his authority, Hananya starts displaying in front of Kiki. Things gradually begin to quieten down, and Zeynep goes over to the newcomer to make sure she's okay. Kiki's a little more wary of Hananya now, and sticks close to the other girls.
Ladies that were with Kiki did a fantastic job of letting things play out, but then if it really started to get too much and Hananya's teeth started showing a bit too much, they were right in there to say, hold on, stop, pay attention to us, and basically take the focus away from Kiki. Giving Hananya his credit, he wasn't too overbearing. He sort of came in, made sure that he was very awesome and impressive, and everybody else showed respect. But then, you know, there was a bit of sitting down and, aren't I beautiful? And Kiki was mesmerized, it worked. So, you know, Hananya actually played his cards very well, making sure she knew who was in charge, but at the same time, being rather available. So it's a really tricky balance between showing who's the boss, yet wanting to attract the females, because let's face it, in the end, in the wild, if a female doesn't like the new alpha male or the group, she can just wander off potentially and try and find a new group to join.
Kiki's new friend Patricia steps in to reassure her. Then Hananya approaches again, but this time more gently. Everyone starts to relax.
The combination between the ladies playing and reassuring her, I think, really helped her out to feel not so intimidated by Hananya. And it shows two things. It shows actually that they're good, loyal friends to Kiki, but that also they're not terrified of Hananya. They like Hananya. It might be a bit intimidating and awesome and frightening to us, but it's what chimpanzees do. So we sort of try and prepare ourselves as best we can, knowing their behavior, knowing our individuals, and just taking our time. And if it takes Kiki months or years to get into Hananya's group, so be it. But I suspect, the way things have gone today, that it's actually going to only be a matter of weeks.
Squirrel monkey Fidget was the first new arrival at the park this year. Alison rehomed him from Essex, where he'd lived in a cage on his own for 20 years. He joined the existing group of squirrel monkeys and has settled in very well. Today, they're having a special treat.
In the world, over half of their diet would be made up of insects, and obviously a large portion of their day would be spent foraging around for them. So we do try and replicate that here at the park, just to really encourage them to work a little bit more for their food. They absolutely love their insects. The fact that these are slightly bigger will bring a slightly new challenge for them. In the group, we've got Alien. She came to us from a lab. We've also got Topsy and Turvy. They both came to us here from the pet trade. And we've also got Samantha. And then lastly, Fidget.
Turvy is first out to investigate.
They are really keen on their insects, so they'll always work that little bit extra hard to get to their insects.
Group leader Alien realises there are surprises inside the box. Fidget seems rather nervous and stays on the sidelines.
Fidget seems to be holding back a little bit. He's kind of hanging around the edge, and he'll probably get stuck in a little bit later on.
The girls are really going for it now. Samantha rises to the challenge, but Fidget is still reluctant to get involved. When the girls gang up together, they're a formidable force.
Alien is really enjoying this. She's even managed to get 2 of the locusts. She's got 1 in each hand, so she's not going to give them up for anything, I don't think.
Squirrel monkeys are extremely dexterous, which means they can catch flighty insects like these large locusts easily with their hands. Although Fidget has yet to find one. Samantha has now turned her attention to the giant grubs. It looks like Fidget has missed out today. The finishing touches are being put to a brand new outdoor enclosure, which is going to house all the park's stumpies.
Today's a very exciting day. This is going to be the first day that the macaques as a group, all of the stump-tailed macaques, old and new, are going to come outside into their big new enclosure for the first time. See you guys later.
A few months ago, 10 stumpies were rehomed from a medical research facility in Scotland. Alison and the team gradually introduced them to the park's current ugly monkeys, and they're slowly learning to live alongside each other.
Hey,
Many of the macaques are elderly, and a huge amount of thought has been put into the design of the enclosure.
The telephone poles leading from platform to platform are doubled up so that they can feel comfortable walking along them. We've incorporated a lot of plants into the enclosure that they'll be able to forage from and eat.
The primate care staff are making final checks to ensure there's nothing harmful lying around after the building work.
We also have to look out for any new plants springing up that either might upset their stomachs or cause them a problem.
We're preparing their breakfast and some nice yummy scatter treats for them, just to try and encourage them to come out and explore their new surroundings. We're putting in some custard in this log for them. We've drilled out holes in the log to try and encourage them to forage around and use their fingers to get the nice yummy treats out.
We'll now let them sort of take their time coming out into the enclosure, but you know, we're all just champing at the bit. You can hear it in my voice. We want them to get out here and use everything because we know how good they're gonna be. So we just need to be patient, and I'm sure the macaques will take care of everything else. Off you go.
Come on, guys. Sam, Kelly, come on.
Sam, the dominant male, pokes his head out to see what's going on. But it's the oldest female Cola who confidently leads the way. Miriam and Maureen are not far behind. Sam and Kelly seem quite impressed with the new playground.
Sam sort of has taken over as leader of the group, I guess. You know, he's beautiful with his long silver coat, and he's come out and done a circuit of the whole enclosure, checking it out, and is testing everything. You see him walk along trying to get anything and everything to bounce, which is a good male macaque display.
Kelly is proving to be quite adventurous too. Until they arrived at the park, the girls had never been outside in their lives before. Miriam tries out one of the poles. But higher-ranking Kelly has no intention of sharing it. And low-ranking Charlie quickly gets out of the way.
Even Charlie, it's just fantastic to see. She's got a dislocated hip, really badly bent femurs, you know, bad skin condition is at the bottom of the heap, and she's one of the bravest and boldest, making her way all around the way to the far end of the enclosure. So really, really pleased. For the rest of the day, we'll leave them access outside because this is now their home, and that's the main thing, is that sort of over the coming days and weeks, they sort of get used to the enclosure slowly and gradually, and making sure that they don't get into any mischief. All of these hoses that they're having to use to climb up things, really good for the core exercises. It's the macaque fitness routine here at the park. There might be a few stiff joints tomorrow, I expect, because they're not used to that much activity.
Alison is optimistic that this new enclosure will help the Stumpies settle into their new life at the park.
We're giving them the keys back to their lives again and letting them choose whether they come inside or go outside, what they're choosing to eat, how they're getting on with each other. So really, this is just the final step in their rehabilitation now. You have to remember where they've come from, living the vast majority of your life, 10 or more years, in a tiny, controlled environment with no access to the outdoors. Life's very limited, and socially they were quite short with each other. Now with this flexibility and choice, it means that individuals that are lower ranking can get away from the more dominant individuals, and that makes everybody get along better.
Staff have welcomed lots of new faces at the park this year. And the next arrival will be a baby Sumatran orangutan called Sylvester.
Stop it, you.
He's 11 months old and lives at a zoo in Spain. Monkey World has been asked to rehome him so that he can grow up with other orangs. But he's going to need a helping hand from Jeremy for the first few months.
I always say if you can get a nappy on an orangutan, you can do pretty well anything.
And another eagerly anticipated arrival is Sarah.
From Louisville, Kentucky, the last female woolly monkey in America, and she's here. So, yeah, finally.
They've been asked to rehome Sarah because of their incredible success in breeding these rare monkeys. As Alison and the team prepare for these newcomers, they're only too aware that there are many more monkeys and apes around the world in need of their help. But for the current residents, power struggles carry on and friendships continue to blossom as they learn to live alongside each other as they would in the wild.